Here it is on. Good morning, everybody. Welcome in, you fine football obsessed people. Or maybe you're not football obsessed. Maybe we can work on that, though. Maybe we can convert you into being as fanatical as what Gonzo and myself are. This is Gonzo. My name's Craig. Together we are part of the German Football Spotlight, where we celebrate everything Bundesliga and beyond. And today's show is a preview of Bayern Munich travelling to the iconic San Siro to take on Inter in a potentially tricky second leg of the Champions League quarter-finals. It's a game that they're 2-1 down. And Vincent Kompany, the big-brained one, he's taken his patched-up team to Milano. Anyone out there? If there are people in the chat, by the way, like I say, if there's anyone out there, feel free to leave your comments down below. Get stuck into the chat. We'll take any subjects. This, my friends, is a safe space. Men cry too. Should get that in the back of the hoodie. Yeah, welcome in, like I say. So, where do we start? Let's start by looking. Let's have a look at the two probable teams, because of course I'm recording. We are live, aren't we? But there will be a VOD afterwards, I should say. That'll most likely drop later in the day. But right here, right now, it's morning in the UK. There is it's great. It's the UK, right? We've had our summer was last week. There's some light coming in, which I look at that and think that's a metaphor. That's a metaphor for what Bayern could achieve this evening. Anyway, here's the two teams. Let's start with the hosts first. So this is a probable 11. I was going to call him Jurgen Sommer. Jan Sommer in goal. Again, he's got experience, as the reliable Bundesliga site is telling us, that him and Pavard are both ex-Bayern Munich players. So Sommer in goal. It's a back three. It's a catenaccio. It's a hallmark of Italian play. You know, that bold, let's shut the door. I believe that's what the rough translation is anyway, right? Catenaccio, which is shutting the door, shutting teams out. And how do you achieve that? Well, you achieve that with a very mobile back three. Noah Serbi, the elder statesman at 37, I assume he's being rested, right? Because he's 37. But most of the other content creators in their channels, where they're spotlighting Inter and how awesome they are. And don't get me wrong, Inter, they are an awesome team. We've called this out before, that if you look at that squad, that army that Simone Inzaghi's building, they have got at least two household names per position. So, again, Acerbi is one of them. It looks like he's being rested. Anyway, so Sommer in goal, back three, Catenaccio, Pavard, De Vries and Bastoni. Bastoni, by the way, Alessandro Bastoni, 26. Yeah, he's an absolute beast, because not only can he throw his body around, can he launch into a tackle, can he intercept, he can read the game, but he's also a damn fine passer. So he's being utilised, I say, almost as another playmaker from the back. So you got Darmian, ex-Manchester United, on the right. You got Carlos Augusto on the left. Augusto, again, what a find he was, 40 million euro. Technically he provided 2 assists, right? He was involved in the build-up for Inter's first goal in the previous leg. You know, when he bombs down the wing, beats Lima, puts the ball in the box. There's that deft, almost ballerina-type touch from the big man Thuram, and then it's a wildly audacious finish from Martinez, which we need to hang in the Louvre. It was beautiful. But that second goal, that smash and grab late goal, that was all. Last, I believe it was Barella. Yeah, Barella gets the ball off Sommer. He manages to turn an on-rushing. Who was running at him? I think it was Gretzky. Yeah, I think Gretzky was caught out on that one. The ball goes out wide, and Augusto literally just head down like a horse, galloping forward, puts his cross in, and the move was, who finished it off? Fratesi, wasn't it? That was right. Anyway, so I feel like there's going to be a lot of layers to this one. So yeah, Sommer in goal, Catenaccio back three, Darmian ex-Man United on the right, Carlos Augusto on the left. And then we've got that trio in midfield, the sort of war horses. You got yes, I know Gonzo, I know he's ex-Arsenal. So Henry Mkhitaryan, he's 36. He's sort of playing off Barella, and then you've got Chanaloglu. I can never say that one. Yeah, Chanaloglu, he's in the middle. He's your deep line playmaker. That's that midfield three. And they work as a unit. They work hard together. Barella he's awesome, right? It was awesome for Italy against Germany in the recent UEFA Nations League quarter-final games. And then you've got that front two of Martinez and Thuram. And then we can either pick up on... Actually, let's do it now, right? So we'll go for the buying team because that's really why you're here. So we've got Jonas Erbig again, debutising. What's this now? Is this his 6th or 7th game? Potentially 7th game. You've got a back four because the big brain one likes to insist on playing 4-2-3-1. And right, let's address the elephant in the room now. So lots of Bayern fans are a little bit, let's say, miffed. We try not to swear too much on this channel, but they're a bit nonplussed at the minute by the drop in form, and I guess the fact that there's a lot of injuries in that squad. Could that have been avoided? People are upset that Thomas Muller's not being retained for another year. At the end of the day, though, they're still 6 points clear at the top of the Champions League, and they've just smashed Bayer Leverkusen, who's becoming a new arch enemy because they won their Bundesliga title last year. They smashed them out of Europe 5-0 over 2 legs, right? So it's not... I know that you're all going to whinge. People like Liam and Steve at the Bayern View, by the way, please go and check them out. Yeah, when we do the VOD, I'll make sure that we have overlays and tags, and there'll be a link in the description for all these other content creators that have inspired us, by the way. So yeah, Bayern View, they're not best pleased by the fact that a long-term investment's not being made. Is that coming from the board level? Possibly. Again, they know their club better than what I do. There is a lot of unrest though with how this team is being put together. But what can company do? Every team at this stage of the season, especially if you're competing at the elite level and you're trying to retain your 12th title in 13 seasons, there's going to be a lot of fixtures coming up, and if you've only got a finite squad and a lot of those people are injured, because actually they're not just playing Bundesliga games week in, week out, or Champions League. A lot of these are internationals. You've got Canadian internationals. You've got Kim, who's playing for South Korea. I know there's an interesting sort of legal case at the minute where Munich are not best pleased because they felt there was an agreement where Kim would be rested and therefore he wouldn't get even more injured. Anyway, that's by the by, right? Because no religion, no politics here. However, the point is, there's only so much you can do if he's only got so many fit and able players because of the amount of fixtures that people are playing. There's a Club World Cup just around the corner, and then we'll move straight back into another season, and then there'll be internationals because there's a World Cup, by the way, taking place next year. So it's an extremely busy schedule for the modern day footballer. And I know there are certain people down the pub at night over your pint going, oh, those footballers, they earn too much money. Well, I put it to you like this. If you knew, actually, rewind. If you knew from an early age that all you wanted to do was be a footballer, if you then study, and there's a great book by Eamon Dunphy, I should know the name of it, I'll put a link to that in the description, where, there's a whole chapter dedicated to what happens if you don't make it. So imagine at 4 years of age, you're like, and you're watching these games on TV and you're like, that's what I want to do, mummy, daddy, or parent, guardian, whoever you're with, whether it's your grandparents or somebody else. I want to be a footballer. And then you dedicate yourself to that. You start playing with your friends. You start kicking the ball left foot, right foot off the wall. Bruno Fernandes style. Start with the basics. You get into a Sunday league team. You start playing on the weekend. You start playing in the evening. You get picked up by a scout. You join the professional circuit. You end up signing. You go through all that, right? So you probably spent a good, 12 years getting to that point. Side analogy. If you're trying to be an architect, that's 7 years at university. You're trying to be a doctor, a medical profession, focused on a certain module within health care. 7, 8, 9, could be 12 years, right? That's a lot of time dedicated to the cause. So by the end of it, then you go, well, actually, as a professional sportsman, as an athlete, as a footballer, I might get 10, 12 years if I'm fortunate. So I put it to you again. If you knew that you could only work for 12 years, and it's a free market, thanks to the big chin Jimmy Hill, because he broke the salary caps in the UK in the 60s. He's also, by the way, side note, the biggest advocate to increasing the points tally per win in the UK from 2 points to 3 points, which fascinatingly didn't actually come in until 1983 and didn't come into play in the Bundesliga and Italy until 1994. Right? Anyway, so Big Hill pioneered man. If you knew you could only play football for 12 years, you would take every goddamn cent that's on offer, right? And that's exactly what these guys are doing. But somewhere on that line, you're going to get injured, right? You're going to take some bumps and some knocks. And there's people like Alexander Pavlovich, bless him, who's got some other sort of deep-lying illness that, he's recovering from. He did play against Dortmund in the De Classica, which is great. But the point is, you're going to get injured. So if you're committing yourself to that, you should be able to earn as much as possible over that finite period. And also, it impacts the selection for a manager like Kompany, because there's only so much he can do. Only so many cards he can play. He's fighting for a title. He's got Leverkusen breathing down his neck. He's got Munich are one of the most supported clubs in the entire world with 400,000 signed up members. So that's before you even start looking at the social media footprint and other content creators like your Liams and your Steves and your Danny Boy out in Milwaukee from always buying Chelsea. That's a lot of pressure, right? I know he's got a big brain, but there's only so much you can do if he's only got so many fit players, right? So that's out of the way. We'll probably have to cut that out later for the VOD, or maybe we'll keep it in because it's a point, right? There's only so much that Vincent Kompany can do. I know a lot of you still questioning why he got the job, because he was at Burnley and they went down. He's a progressive manager, though. He's one for the future, and you've done well to get him in. He's still adapting, despite what other naysayers might say. It's a competitive league, the Bundesliga. And actually, Leverkusen winning last year, and other teams that are trying to break ground, like a Freiburg, like Mainz, this keeps Augsburg as well. And the resurgence of the old powerhouses like Gladbach. This keeps the league healthy. It makes it competitive. We had put the shades in the chat the other day, and go and watch him on Twitch under at Games Messiah. That guy's extremely savvy, way savvier than what I am with his analysis of football. But he'll tell you the Premier League, French league might be a farmers league, but it isn't though, is it? Because look at what PSG did to Villa last night. Although that's a topic for other people to analyse and process and make judgments on. But right here, right now, I'm trying to stand up for Vincent Kompany and Bayern Munich, because there's only so much they can do with the players they've got. What goes on day to day in the training ground. He's got some wonderful ideas, and he proved it. Broke all records with getting Burnley up to the Premier League. There is a gap, by the way, isn't there? We can see it. We see it with Southampton. Southampton were down before Easter. They're on track to be the worst ever performing Premier League team. Currently on 10 points. The record is Derby with 11. When was that? 2003? 4? Or maybe I'm confusing that with Leicester. That gap between the newly promoted teams to the Premier League, the middle ground. A great example of a middle ground team would be Brentford. Even then, look at Forest. That's an outlier. I hope that they can keep that going, because, I've got some solid lifelong friends that are Forest fans, and they deserve their moment in the sun. They really do. But then look at the top half of the table. It's just Premier League is it's eating itself. It is eating itself. The Bundesliga's in a great place. Bayern Munich are doing all they can. Let's get back to this team. Sorry. So, young Jonas Erbig in goal, which proves they are investing in the future. Yeah, he's made some mistakes, but Neuer made mistakes. Neuer's not always been this big, bold, brash, abrasive, borderline cocky goalkeeper, right? He made mistakes in his early days. Everybody did. Peter Shilton made mistakes. You know, he likes a bet. Probably the biggest mistake they made. Anyway, Urbig in goal. A back four, which again, when we've covered this in previous videos, is people playing out of position. It's like Lego bricks, the different sizes. You know, Conrad Limer's playing right back, but actually he's a midfielder. We feel that's an asset for this team, and I'll come on to that soon. So you've got Eric Dyer alongside Min Jae Kim in defence as the centre-back pairing. Okay, yeah, they were exposed in the previous game. They didn't do themselves any favours against Dortmund because Maxi Bayer cut them with their pants down in the second half. But that's all they've got at this minute in time. Right. So we're locking in Kim and Eric Dyer. Guerrero, interestingly, is being played with Feel on the left as a left back. And none of this... Well, again, Vincent Kompany, to his credit, he tried something different. Didn't work. You know, tried Guerrero in the number 10 as a playmaker to replace Musiala. For a start, you can't. There's only one Jamal Musiala. He's still in his, early 20s? The guy's got a blinding future ahead of him. And all those scouts back at Chelsea will be regretting the fact that they didn't hang on to him. But, you know, his mother moved him for political reasons, if you look into that properly. Yeah, she moved out of the UK because of Brexit. No religion, no politics here. Anyway, so you can't ask Guerrero to be a number 10 and try and play on the same level as Musiala because they're two very different players. And he only had 37 touches in that game, and he was marked out of it by that back Catenaccio 3 of Inter. Anyway, so it looks like the company's learned from that, and he's putting him at left back, which is brilliant. I say, Conrad Limer, I like him. Anyone called Conrad, especially if you're spelling it with a K, they get our vote of confidence. You've got the two in the double pivot. You got LA Fitness, Leon Goretzka next to Joshua Kimmich, who's the ball carrier, the guy with a vision, the set piece taker, genius. You know, he's high IQ, he's a warrior. He does fight hard, right? Where Muller goes, he's the guy that will sort of step into that mould, you know, and be I assume will be the athlete or the celebrity that they build all their future marketing campaigns around. Because if they can retain Kimmich, and again, it's a bit of a horror show, and I can see why Liam and Steve on the buying view were cross. That's an understatement. The fact that contract negotiation got dragged out into public. You lock down someone like Kimmich, Christ, do you know what I mean? Yeah, anyway. Those two in the double pivot, and then we've got the three sort of attacking players supporting Harry Kane. Michael Olise, ex-Crystal Palace, on the right. Leroy Sané on the left. Thomas Muller is the number 10, which it should have been. Yeah, he should have been playing in the first leg of this tie behind Harry Kane. Right, so let's get on to the Harry Kane issue. So, and I love listening to other content creators that are professionals in terms of their data analysis. If you look at Manu and Stefan from the Gegenpressing podcast, you know, Stefan, he's responsible for content at transfermarket.com, right? So he spends his day surrounded by a visual. He lives the matrix every day when it comes to data, right? And even the narrative that's coming from that podcast is that Harry Kane is disappointing at the minute because they've spent €100 million, and what have they got for it so far? Apparently, in the last 3 games, he's had 17 shots, of which 12 have been on target, and he's produced 1 goal. And that was a go-ahead goal in the Bundesliga against Augsburg. Was quiet in the previous game. You know, he arguably was marked out of the game by that Catenaccio back 3 of Inter. He did miss a chance on the 24th minute, which was very uncharacteristic of Harry Kane, when he was slipped in by Elise and he hits the post. If that goes in, that game's very different. Because, and I heard Michael Talks on his YouTube channel talking about momentum is one thing, but all that goes out the window when it's in a high intensity sort of one-off high stakes game, or 2 games I should say, across the 2 legs. He's a human, right? And actually he's nursing an injury. And yeah, if I was investing 100 million like we do on fictional fantasy games like Football Manager, then I expect that individual to justify it, to validate it, to live up to those expectations. It's a lot of money, but deep down, there's still a human under there, and we've got to all be empaths. Otherwise, what do we become? We become Elon Musk and AI demons, right? So, and yes, he did used to play for Tottenham, and they have a lifelong rivalry, as they should do, with Arsenal. However, as an empath, as another Englishman supporting a guy that I want to bag goals, I want to lift a trophy, I want to lift a World Cup with England. I want the guy to do well. I certainly want him to do well tonight. He's in a bit of rough form, because he's carrying injury. He's doing his best for his team. But I suppose, if you look on the other side of the coin, actually, it's interesting if you draw the analysis with Marcus Thuram. Okay, so in his last 3 games, in the Serie A against Cagliari, he only had 24, 25 minutes. He came on as a sub for Marko Arnautovic, formerly of Stoke City and West Ham. It's a 35-year-old Austrian striker that was picked to play alongside Litao Martinez in that Serie A game. Yeah, they won 3-1. They scored 2 early goals. Another assist from Carlos Augusto, by the way. They were 2-0 up after 20 minutes against a team in, 15th that have lost 17 games this season. So you can afford to take it a bit easy. I know Serie A is competitive. I know even the big teams are self-destructed. You think you've got problems with Bayern Munich? Look at what's happening to AC Milan. That's the second manager. Is it three managers now in 12 or 14 months? They're on the next one. Yeah, it feels like it's Conceição. No, it is Conceição, right? Yeah, he's coming and he's steadied the ship. But there's something dysfunctional going on there, which is ironic because it's in the same iconic stadium as what Inter use as home games. If you look at that parallel between Thuram and Harry Kane, they're not getting many touches. Marcus Thuram's getting less touches. I suppose that's because of the way that the build-up play happens. Again, there's lots of other fantastic content creators that point out about this fantastic system that Inzaghi's building it into, where the three at the back, including Bastoni. Well, they're constantly rotating. Then they're progressing they're adding numbers numerically to their attacks, but because they've got 3, which very quickly becomes a back 5, well, then they can outnumber people and they can go man to man in midfield like they did against Munich in the previous leg, right? Konrad Laimer, he's a midfielder that's playing at right back. Again, I think that's an asset, the fact that he is, what do we call it in Football Manager terms, he's an inverted player, right? So he now inverts, he kind of naturally drifts into that middle, which then allows Munich to go 3-on-3 because they're playing 4-2-3-1 when they've got a double pivot of 2. So Goretzka and Kimmich, we felt, were outnumbered in that previous game. Laimer was inverting himself. He was drifting into the middle to try and make up that 3. So they were going 3-3, but they were being outdone by the flanks. And that's an Inter team that was playing Carlos Augusto. And we keep building that guy up, but he's not likely to play in this game because for all of the probable teams and all the hype and what we've just called out and what I can see on this screen, it's more likely that DeMarco's coming back and he's going to play. And he's a frightening player, right? He can get up and down. He can defend. He's got fantastic ability with his feet to cross a ball. And he can strike a ball extremely well. Yeah, so that 3 midfield is locking against the 2. Limer's inverting to make it 3-for-3. But Inter have this system where people, lots of teams. Dino Topmüller's doing the same thing at Frankfurt, right? He likes his players to constantly be rotating to catch the opposition out, to make them think. In football, as we always talk about, is a game about finding space. Finding space, timing your runs, occupying the channels, which was what Martinez and Thuram were doing highly effectively in that first tie. Yeah, they were going 2-for-2 up with Min-Jae Kim and Eric Dyer. And because they're both crocked effectively, or maybe Eric Dyer's not, although he's not a natural as a centre back, is he? As a lot of you Munich fans will tell me, he's more familiar with playing as a defensive midfielder. But he's been asked, or he's he's been pushed into defence because of the injury situation. But going 2 for 2 against the big black beast in Martinez, who's got an IQ off the chart, as proven by that audacious goal. He scored what? I think it's 18 this season. Thuram's got 14. Harry Kane's got 23. You know, so again, there's an argument. You can do what you want with numbers, right? I suppose ultimately the thing with Inter is they are a hard-working team that starts at the back, that are pioneering going forward, trying to catch numerical advantages. They have some very skilled people, like a Canoglu and a Barella in midfield, and they've got people up front who you go 2 for 2 with Harry, Kim, and Min-jae. I'm mixing up the players now. Thuram, Martinez going head to head with Dyer, Min-jae, Kim. There's loads of space in the channels that they can peel off to, and that midfield three will come in. Plus, they've got overlaps either side, whether it's Carlos Augusto, or if it's going to be DeMarco and Darmian on the right. You know, it's quite frightening. Munich are in a vulnerable position. However, we feel like they're going to get something out of this game. We feel they're going to lose it, but we feel like they're going to get something out of this game. So let's cover off a little bit more analytics, because there was some other points I did want to make. Where has it gone? Oh, don't leave any dead airtime, Greg. Or maybe it's just a quick word on Inter then, right? So yeah, Inter are top of the Serie A. What's that now? 3 points clear of Napoli. They've won 21 times. So again, there's 2 more teams in Serie A, which, yeah, again, does add to that workload. So, won 21, drawn 8, lost 3, 72 goals scored, 71 points. Slightly comparable with Munich. Played 29. Let's have a quick look, because I'm just fascinated by the comparison. Only 18 teams though in the Bundesliga. Won 21, drawn 6, lost 2, scored 83, 69 points. And then Champions League form. I'll have to have a quick look at that, because it's interesting. If we look at Inter, so far they've scored 17 goals, and here's the fact I was trying to get to. Sorry, it took me a while to wake up to that one. Scored 17 times, but only conceded 3. Yes, in all these Champions League games this season, Inter have only conceded 3 goals, and they're quite comfortable not necessarily being in possession. So there's 8 clean sheets out of that 17 games. That was the other stat I was trying to get to. The challenge at the minute, and people like Liam and Steve and Danny and all you other fantastic, very passionate, diehard Munich fans will tell me that Munich's issue at the minute is they can't keep clean sheets. You know, take a look at the last few games. 2-2 with Dortmund. Obviously losing 2-1 to Inter. They were 1-0 down against Augsburg, and again they had to come back and win 3-1. 3-2 win over St. Pauli. You know, they're struggling to keep clean sheets, and it's the foundations, and that's what Inter. Well, you expect that from an Italian team with that Catenaccio style of locking other teams out. It was just worth calling out. 17 goals scored, 3 goals conceded, 8 clean sheets. I believe Manny Neuer's had 11 clean sheets in the Bundesliga. Let's just have a quick look at how that compares with Munich. Sorry, this is a live stream, so you're going to get all sorts of beeps in the background. By Munich, 29 goals scored, 16 conceded, only 4 clean sheets. So, and arguably, Manny Neuer, Jonas Erberg, he's not apples for apples, is it? It will be in the future as that kid gets more game time, but right here, right now, again, this is a makeshift Munich team that's doing the best with what it's got. It's likely that actually Pavlovic might come in. There was also rumours that Koeman might play for Munich as well, which would be great to see him back. But again, there's only so much that the big brain one can do. So that's the data analysis that I wanted to call out, that this Inter are solid. They're quick fight going forward, as they proved with that counter-attacking goal. Munich have got goals in them. You know, they've scored a frightening number in the Bundesliga, which is a competitive league. I'm not going to let anyone tell us otherwise. Arguably more competitive than the Premier League. Definitely more than that Farmers League in France, Liga. And I'm talking tongue-in-cheek because there are some strong teams. You know, there's Monaco, Lille. I was going to say Bastia. I don't think Bastia have been in Ligue 1 for years, have they? Where are Bastia? That's made me laugh. Oh, they're in League 2. There you go. Bastia. Bisanetti next. What's that? He's on the phone. Nobody got that reference last time. It's a pop music cultural reference from the 90s. Anyway, what was I going to show you? I was going to show you something. I was going to show you our prediction, because I'm feeling like Bayern Munich, I need to get a grip on this stream. Here's our prediction. Look, see? And just as a side note, and thanks again to Put on the Shades, he spotted that we called that game right last night. You know, our prediction for Dortmund was that they were going to win 3-1 at home, end Hansi Flick and Barcelona's impressive 24-game unbeaten streak, but it just didn't prove enough. There's a reaction video to that game coming up as well. If not today, on Wednesday, then definitely before the preview show for matchday 30 in the Bundesliga comes out. Anyway, valiant effort from Dortmund, as it was by Villa against PSG. But again, I'll leave that to other more passionate seasoned content creators to cover that game. So we got the prediction right about Dortmund winning 3-1 at home to Barcelona, but didn't prove enough. They did score twice, and both those goals were offside. The first one in the first half was marginal. I believe the second one was Julian Brandt just going too quick. Yes, I know. One day he will sign for Arsenal. Do you know what? We should do a save on FM where we sign Julian Brandt. Anyway, this is our prediction. So 2-2 on the night would make it 4-3 in aggregate. Thomas Muller's going to, if not score one of these Munich goals, and we feel like he's going to be instrumental. He should be. He's played as number 10, and he can't do any worse than Guerrero in the previous game, who only had 37 touches. So we feel it's going to be one of those memorable Champions League games, possibly of the ages, you know, back and forth, basketball style. It just won't be enough, though, we don't feel, for Munich. Anyway, that's our prediction. We've told you about the teams, but we can do it one more time, just in case anyone's joining this stream late. There you go. 3-5-2 from Inter. Sommer in goal. Back three, Pavard, De Vries and Bastoni. Carlos Augusto, or maybe DeMarco on the left. Darmian, ex-Manchester United, on the right. A midfield warrior three of Barella, Chanaloglu, still saying it wrong, and Mkhitaryan. And then your two strikers up front, Martinez and Thuram. The Munich side in a 4-2-3-1. Jonas Erbig in goal, Konrad Laimer right, Rafael Guerrero left, Kim and Dyer in the middle of defence as a centre-back pairing. Double pivot, LA Fitness, Leon Goretzka next to Joshua Kimmich, the captain. Oh, captain's going to be Muller, actually, sorry, this evening. And then attacking three. On the right, Michael Olise. On the left, Leroy Sané. Thomas Muller in the number 10. Feeding, hopefully, what will be a Harry Kane who feels rested, mentally stable, and he's going to be busy and score some goals. Maybe he'll get both. I don't know. A brace would be good for him. Be good for his confidence. It might get a lot of the Munich fans off his back, and other hacks out there who write for these sorts of wonderful websites that provide us this content. There you go. That's our prediction. If you're in the chat or if you just came by and you're interested in what you saw, please like and subscribe. It is free. We are hard working. We're trying to build up. Actually, at the minute we are doing daily content. So this is here. There'll be a VOD of it later on because this is a live stream. There'll be a reaction as well coming to Dortmund, beating Barca but getting knocked out on aggregate. There'll be a reaction video to this Munich result coming on Thursday, and then we'll segue straight into another Bundes weekend of action, match day 30, where the title race resumes between Munich and Leverkusen with that 6-point gap. And hopefully we'll get to do some Football Manager streams and open some stickers. Otherwise, that's it. Unless there's any other business, Gonzo? No? Okay. Yeah, it's been tight. Last it's been loose, right? What did we say the other day? This is effectively becoming loungewear. Yeah. It's it's football analysis as loungewear with an elasticated waist because it's quite loose. We're trying to get to a pinstripe suit. It's not our style. No, we'll stick to the loungewear, right? Stick to loungewear. Ideal for the summer weather, which hopefully turns up. It's beautiful in Germany. It has been. Right, we're done. So, yeah, Champions League action coming up this evening. In terms of the timings, it's 8 p.m. UK time, 9 p.m. CET. What do we say? It's 8 a.m. Eastern Seaboard time? Or 8 a.m. if you're in New York. 7 a.m. if you're in Milwaukee. Shout out to Danny. And if you're in LA, like Leon Goretzka plays, then I believe it's 4. Is it 4 a.m.? Yeah, because there's 3 hours time difference, right, between east to west. So, yeah. Anyway, it's an early start if you're in the US. If you're in Europe, which we're not, are we? Because we're non-Europeans. Anyway, that's no politics here. Safe space. Men cry too. Hope you've enjoyed it. Come on, Munich. Make it entertaining. It's going to be tough. Be competitive tonight. We can't wait. Get your drinks. Get your snacks. Mia Samia. We'll catch you very soon. Oh, I'll feed you soon for now. I'll catch you very soon.